I thought what everybody thought that night, which was somebody's life is about to get terrible. And I sat up in my bed and I put the pillow behind the head. And I thought, I'm not entirely sure that joke was intended to be racist.
That was Jon Ronson doing a TED Talk about how one tweet could ruin someone's life. The woman that he was speaking about is Justine Sacco, who we mentioned in our part 1 of this series. Justine is perhaps one of the more famous examples of someone having their entire career ruined by social media, but unfortunately, there's many more. Welcome to InformOverload, the show where we take the top trending topics on the internet and then make them more entertaining. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, aka the Bacon Overlord, and to never miss another exciting video, click that subscribe button and ring the bell to join our notification squad. Before we get started though, leave us a comment down below with what you think the negatives of social media are, and while you ponder that, let's jump right into the top 10 careers that were ruined by social media part 3. In at number 10, the Glee extra. Nicole Crowther is a film student and at one time a regular extra on the show Glee, at least that's what her Glee fandom page says. Yes, that's a real thing and she's on it. While working as an extra on the show, she moved to the forefront after posting spoilers on Twitter. There was certainly a lot of spoilers in her other tweets, but the nail in the coffin for her job on the show came when she spoiled the identities of who the prom king and queen would be in the prom episode. How could you ruin a prom episode like that? Shortly after leaking this information, the replies filled up with angry fans and even the show's producer Brad Falchuk. Brad said, "Who are you to spoil something talented people have spent months to create? I hope you're qualified to do something besides work in entertainment." Nicole later said that the tweet certainly did destroy her life in terms of pursuing a career in acting, and now she has to work for her family's roofing business. Well, at least she's moving up. In at number 9, Apple Crisp. Way back in 2011, yes I know it feels like a lifetime ago, an Apple employee named Samuel Crisp decided that instead of approaching the company with his internal problems, he would instead slander them on Facebook. Apple decided that it was enough to get him fired. Sam believed he was then fired unjustly and took his claim to the Employment Tribunal in Bury St. Edmunds. Unfortunately for him, they sided with Apple and their clear media policy regarding critical remarks made about the company on social media. The tribunal stated, "We take into account their position that the Facebook posts were not truly private and could in fact have been forwarded very easily with the claimant having no control over this process." The lesson here is, if you're going to talk smack about your job, make sure it's not done using social media. Please. In at number 8, workplace jealousy. Much like our last point, a bank employee with Lloyd's banking group named Stephanie Bond also decided to use Facebook as a way to bash her employer, except this scenario was much more public. Sam decided to post his vitriol for Apple within a private group, and Stephanie on the other hand laid it all out on the line. She revealed that the taxpayer-owned bank had offered the company's CEO Antonio Horta Osorio close to £13.5 million, which is around $17.5 million. Within that amount included his salary as well as bonuses and other benefits for the year that were meant to poach him from a Spanish bank. The Facebook post has since been removed, but what it said was, "LBG's new CEO gets £4,000 an hour, I get £7. That's fair." Now you may be thinking, well, that's what you get when you're a minimum wage employee. However, she wasn't. Stephanie Bond was an HR assistant, a job that's a little more specialized than just minimum wage. In at number 7, Ashley Payne. Back in 2011, a whole heck of a lot of people found out the hard way that their posts online had severe consequences for their employment. A high school teacher named Ashley Payne had taken some time off to vacation in Europe, but when she posted a photo with her holding a glass of red wine in one hand and a beer in the other, that vacation was over. Parents of her students had the teacher on Facebook and complained so much to the school where she was employed that they ultimately were forced to give her two choices: either she resign or be suspended. Initially she chose to resign, but later on would try to get her job back by suing the school, and unfortunately again, she lost that battle as well. In at number 6, London Luton Airport. We don't know exactly who is behind this brilliant post, but we're imagining the social media team at London Luton Airport went under some serious damage control. The airport had used an image of a plane crashing into the middle of the street as a way to get across their light-hearted message, I guess. The post said, "Because we are such a super airport, this is what we prevent you from when it snows." Wee! Why the wee? I'm so confused. That crash plane was from a real incident. Like, there's no Photoshop done here. It happened in Chicago back in 2005 and took the life of a 6-year-old boy as well as injuring 9 others. Needless to say, the internet made sure that they knew this and an apology was posted immediately. And I'm sure someone was packing their stuff up. In at number 5, Amy's Baking Company. If you're thinking that name sounds familiar, then you're probably remembering the episode of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares that they were featured on. On the show, the owners were dropped after Gordon Ramsay himself said that they were too difficult to work with, which is crazy. And apparently they were receiving a ton of hate online, and to defend themselves, they took to Facebook in what is possibly the craziest meltdowns I've ever seen. Oh, and it's in all caps, because nothing says playing it cool like leaving your caps lock on. The post said, "You don't know us, we will thrive, we will overcome, we are starting our family and we will teach our child exactly what God wants in their path. We will teach them how to fight against oppressors like you people. We will start a generation of truthfulness, and we will fight to bring places like Yelp and Reddit and horrible people like Gordon to the light." If that episode didn't ruin their chances at being restaurant owners, these bizarre posts certainly will. In at number 4, the firefighters. Several Toronto firefighters were fired after a spokesman for the organization said that the employees breached the city's policy on social media. Now I get how that could sound quite vague as to what they actually did, so let's get right into it. After the National Post did a story about Toronto Fire looking to hire more women and visible minorities, a couple of the male employees took this a little bit too personally. One tweeted out, "I'd never let a woman kick my ass. You get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me some pie." Among those tweets were 2 other firefighters tweeting equally sexist things that they claim were Dwight Schrute quotes from The Office. Needless to say, their boss did not care, and after an extensive investigation, all 3 were fired. Oh, you can feel the irony in this one. Firefighters being fired. In at number 3, Caitlin Davis. Caitlin once worked as a New England Patriots cheerleader more than a decade ago, but after one photo was posted to Facebook, her career came crashing down. In the photo, you can see Caitlin posing next to an unconscious man with a Sharpie in her hand. Her handiwork is literally written all over this man's face and body. What ended her career, though, were people commenting on the various things that they noticed drawn on the man's body. Among the usual phallic drawings were phrases such as "I'm Jew," as well as 2 drawings of a swastika. Caitlin seemed to find the entire thing amusing, but her management felt differently and promptly fired her from the squad. In at number 2, the hairdresser. This hairdresser from Indianapolis will forever regret the time that she agreed to go to Kilroy's Bar and Grill for a New Year's Eve dinner. After having an unpleasant experience to say the least at the restaurant, she took to the restaurant's Facebook page to detail what exactly went wrong. I'm not going to read the entire post for you, but essentially what she said was that her meal was ruined after watching a dead person be wheeled out from an overdose. She then went on to say that clearly they care more about a junkie overdosing than actual paying customers. And the owner of the restaurant did reply to her post explaining what exactly had happened. Now, the dead person that she was referring to was a 70-plus-year-old woman that had a heart attack and had to be rushed to hospital. The hairdresser received so much outrage for this negative review that people found out where she worked and started bombarding the salon with negative comments. Soon enough, she got the boot. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Stephanie Rice. I don't even know where to start with this one. Just wow. A 3-time Australian Olympic swimming champion named Stephanie Rice came under a ton of fire after making very homophobic remarks on Twitter. After Australia had beaten South Africa in rugby, she thought a great way to show off her excitement was to take to Twitter. And gay rights groups were obviously furious about her comments, and because of the backlash, her swimming career sank like the Titanic. She didn't just end her own career though, she also lost a very lucrative sponsorship deal with the car company Jaguar. A fellow Aussie and Olympian named Matthew Mitchum, who is openly gay, did come to her defense, but not in the way that she had hoped. He condemned her actions as rather thoughtless than homophobic. With that, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Careers That Were Ruined by Social Media Part 2. Jotron 5x Overload says, "Bro, why you clickbaiting? I thought Onision would be in this." Look, I'm sorry. If you ever get clickbaited, just know that I have 0 say in the thumbnail. I just write the content. That's someone else's job, but I'll make sure they get fired. Don't worry. I think it was a potato. Piper Animation says, "Buddy, you need to look up what zoos actually do. They don't cage wild animals for profit. The majority of zoos are working towards making sure a species survives, breeding programs, taking in animals who come from worse places, rehabilitation, educating people, and a lot of these animals were captive bred. Stop using SeaWorld as the base for all zoos. They're extremely important." I knew someone was going to come at me for this, but turns out I actually did do my research. As reported by NBC News, prosecutors said Monday that they are investigating the city's zoo after a spate of recent animal deaths that has alarmed animal rights activists. 2 elephants, 2 gorillas, a camel, and 3 endangered Francois langur monkeys have died at the Lincoln Park Zoo in recent months. The woman that I mentioned in that part 2 that was fired, she was from the Brookfield Zoo, so let's check in on them for some more, perspective. Oh! Look, it turns out that even the Brookfield Zoo has been under investigation after the deaths of 54 stingrays. So please don't tell me that zoos are this uber important place that we need in our society. Christina Vigil says teachers shouldn't be punished for their lives outside of work or how they choose to relax. I agree, but I also think that teachers shouldn't add their students or parents of students on Facebook either. You need a little bit of a balance there. Sammy Alexander says Johnny judging folk yet having a YOLO tattoo. Hey, you got me there, Sammy, but I'm moving on. Amy Clark says social media is showing the demons within us all, as well as the stupid. I think you nailed it with that one, Amy, and I think that's the end of the comments. And that has been the top 10 careers that were ruined by social media part 3. Thank you for watching Inform Overload, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you give us a follow on Instagram for tons of behind the scenes content. Links for that will be in the description below. Plus, while you're there, why don't you leave us a comment with your thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is click that playlist when it comes up on your screen. From IO, my name is Johnny Rogers. Until next time, stay greasy. Unfortunately for him, they just, oh, for sakes. Samuel Crisp, that's a hard name to say for whatever reason. Samuel Crisp, Sammy, just gonna call him Sammy. You get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me some pie. Editors, please bleep out every expletive I said there, please. Her handiwork is literally written all over his man face and his man body. And because of this, the backlash, and because of the backlash, I really gotta get this right. I feel like they're just gonna make me do this whole video over again. I can feel it.